Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another day in the B is for Build shop. What we've got in store for you guys today is finishing the work on the engine, changing out the rod bearings, painting the body, finally painting the body, and then we're gonna get started building some of the aero stuff. I don't know if it's gonna be side skirts or rear diffuser or front splitter. I'm not really sure, but we're gonna start building something. Stay tuned. Before we get down to work, it's me from the future. Spoiler alert, the car is painted. And if you want to see how the car is painted, please watch the entire episode all the way through and you'll find out at the end. Do not skip forward. That's bad for YouTube metrics. Today's episode is sponsored by Cove speakers. The Cove Commuter is my favorite wireless Bluetooth speaker. We have one of these in the shop that we use all the time. I have one at home that we use all the time as well. I just got done being in the paint booth where we've had it on and blasted. The sound quality is amazing. It's got a built-in subwoofer, so it has the highs, the mids, and the low sounds that you want from your audio. I took this baby camping recently to test out the battery life. They seem to last forever. They have up to an 8-hour playtime. We did not ever run out of battery on our entire camping trip. And my dad saw this thing and he heard the sound of it and he was like, I really want one of those. And Cove, I mentioned it in the last time we did this, and Cove was nice enough to send him one. So Dad, this one's for you. That's pretty cool. Thanks guys. The Cove Commuter can connect to computers and tablets and phones that are Bluetooth activated, and it's also very conveniently sized. You guys in the car world will know why this is important. If you got a car like my 240Z that has a cup holder, but it doesn't have a stereo, this guy will fit in any standard cup holder and you'll have music for your trip. We will be bringing one of these with us to SEMA in the car because I ain't got a stereo in the 240Z. Cove, I might need one more of these, okay? We need one in the shop and one in the car. Anyways, if you guys use the code B is for Build, I'll put a link in the description, guys. Hit that link. You'll get 65% off on your Cove Commuter purchase. So hit the link in the description, use the code B is for Build. That's a 65% discount. That is an amazing discount for you guys. Huge thanks to Cove for sponsoring this episode. Now, back to the past. Going back in time. All right, our highest priority today is make sure that we get our primer on this shell. So I've actually changed a couple of things. We've added heat into the booth. We added 4 heaters and the temperature in here is at least 10 degrees warmer than outside. So we're basically like baking the inside of the car, and we'll leave those in here to bake the outside of the car. The other thing is we switched from the type of primer that we used on the doors and the hood and stuff like that. We switched to a different type of primer that I know dries faster, but it will also allow vinyl to adhere to it. So that's an important thing. Epoxy primers are all that 3M recommends that they stick their vinyl to. So you have to use an epoxy-based primer, which is what we went ahead and did because we're using 3M vinyl wrap. I don't know about any other brand of vinyl wrap, but I know that one's that. So anyways, sanding. That's what you're gonna see me doing a lot of, sanding and body filling, sanding off this clear coat, looking for any more nicks, dings, scratches, anything like that that we need to body fill over, and just really getting this thing ready for paint. Sanding's going great. This clear coat is really tough, but we got to get it all off. So this is me getting all the clear coat off, and I'm going to continue up there and then continue around the back. Eric's here, so he's going to start with some cardboard, working on side skirts or front splitter or whatever pieces, working on the aero pieces with cardboard, mocking up the shape and size that we need. Quick break from Bodywork. We are back in the shop. ECS Tuning was kind enough, show that off right there, Oscar. Big thanks to these guys. They overnighted us bolts. So literally, I emailed them yesterday. The bolts are at my porch this morning. So we have all of the rod bolts we need. So Oscar is gonna go ahead and proceed with the rod bearing change. Meanwhile, Eric's gonna play with this cardboard right here. He's gonna build himself a house. While sanding continues next door, Eric's working on the front splitter. So this is our template for what we're going to cut out of aluminum, and we kind of measured. We're going to do a 4-inch wide front splitter, or 4 inches deep, and we're kind of figuring out how we want the sides right here. We think we're going to go flush right here with a little radius bend and bring it in right there. Looks good. Oscar, how's it going over here?
It's going pretty good. I'm going to get all these torqued.
Do you have them all in? No.
No.
No. This is how bad our rod bearings looked. If you don't know, that's like not far from catastrophic engine failure. We probably wouldn't have got very many miles out of this engine if we did not change these right here. Anytime you see them go all the way through and down to that copper down there, that's like a really, really bad sign. And that's why we saw chunks of copper in our oil. So it's a really, really good thing that we changed these. It would have been the end of this engine if we didn't. All right, I got bored of sanding, so update on what Eric's doing. He's gonna cut this cardboard template out of aluminum. We got a little bit too thick of aluminum, so our diffusers and splitters and side skirts are gonna be real strong. Real strong. Oscar, what rod are you on?
5th.
Oh, all right, 5 out of 10. He's halfway done, guys.
Halfway done.
This is such a tedious job. You have to torque each bolt. You torque it down and then torque the other one down, and then more and more and more and more, and then you undo them all, and you do that twice more on each single rod, so it takes forever. On the Bodywork side of the world, I just finished sanding all of the clear off. The big bummer is the clear was really, really hard, and so using the DA was, I don't know, I mean, it kind of needed to be done, but it left some, you can almost see it on camera just a little bit, some kind of wavies in here. So I'm hitting it with high filler primer, and then I'm going to use the DA with an interface pad that's like a big sponge in the middle so it doesn't dig in anywhere. And I'm going to have to keep bringing this down and probably high fill primer again and bring it down again. That way it's nice and smooth through here, because I really don't want that section to look bad. But after that, everything else is all kind of ready to go. So I'm going to apply some a little bit of body filler for some tiny little cracks and nicks and stuff that I'm seeing, and then final round of sanding. Everything is going to get sanded on the final round with 240 grit sandpaper. That's going to get rid of the 150 grit sanding marks. Eric just finished up the first pass on our front splitter. I think it looks fantastic. I'm really happy with how this looks. It's got the nice like point, which will accentuate kind of the nose of the Datsun, and I really think it looks really good. There's just a tiny bit of finishing work to be done with it, but this thing is basically done. The next hard part to do with this is we have to figure out how it hard mounts to the car. This needs to mount to something that's essentially attached to the frame. You can't just mount something this hardcore to a bumper, because it'll either rip the bumper off or break the bumper in half as soon as you hit something like a piece of road, like in a steep driveway or anything like that. It'll shred stuff, so it's got to be a hard mounted to your frame. Oscar is on rod bearing 8 out of 10. We got a new high score for the most jacked rod bearing, which is, that's not that one. That one's real toasty. Oh, it's this. I think it's this. Yeah, this one is unlike any I've seen on the internet. That's pretty bad. Anyways, 8 out of 10, almost done there. In here I got everything sanded down with the 240. The next step we're gonna do is blow it off and clean it off with the wax and grease remover. After that, Eric and I are gonna give the whole body, which isn't much, a coat of the high fill primer from SEM. See, this stuff dries up really fast. It's nice and chalky, and when you sand it back down again, it gives you this really nice smooth surface, which is exactly what I want before I put my epoxy primer on here. The epoxy primer is a little bit thicker. It takes a little bit longer to dry, and it's not quite as chalky, but you can't stick wrap to a chalky high fill primer like this SEM primer. They make epoxy primers, but this just isn't one. So anyways, then we're gonna coat the whole thing with the high fill, and then we will knock it all down, block sand it by hand with the 240, which will give us basically a perfect finish, or a good enough finish for what I'm looking for. And then we can mask off for our epoxy primer. First round of high filler primer is on. Car looks beautiful like this. I wish we could kind of leave it, but we cannot. So we are going to block sand everything down with 240 grit sandpaper. That's plenty before our primer. We're gonna really keep track of trying to get nice smooth corners on this. And yeah, we'll sand it up and then we'll clean it off. This body looks so damn good. It's perfectly it's exactly how I want it. It's perfectly perfect. We got our high fill all sanded down, and now we are ready for our epoxy sealer primer. So this primer can go over metal, it can go over other primer, it can go over paint, it can go over all the substrates that we're painting today. So the last step is to go ahead and wipe the whole car down with Prep All once again, and then I'm gonna mix up the paint and spray it on the car. Let's go check and see how Oscar's doing. The rod bearings have all been changed out. The oil pan looks like it's about hand tight on there. Getting that auxiliary thing on there. What is that? That's like has something to do with oil, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not sure what it is.
Could be for a trans too. Could be for the transmission. Anyways, that little bracket connects back up to where the oil pan connects in, and all those oil pan bolts got to go on. Then we're done with the rod bearings. I can't wait till we get our ECU back, and then we can fire this thing up and see if it explodes. It's gonna be exciting times. It'll be the most exciting 30 seconds of this build. It is go time. Car is completely prepped up. It's time to mix up primer and spray. This is it. I cannot mess up this paint job. I will not, I cannot. It's gonna be great, I think. First coat of primer is on. It looks beautiful. All of our bodywork, everything's shining now, so I'm bouncing the light off of the car, the panels, all of our bodywork is coming out looking fantastic. I'm just so happy. It's kind of funny, sometimes you spray your first coat on and it goes on so well that you're like, I wish I didn't have to risk spraying another coat on. That's kind of how I feel right now, but we got to get the second coat on there so we have enough buildup for this thing. Ooh, I got to make sure I get in there a little bit more on the next round. It doesn't really matter, actually that all gets painted black anyways, but it's looking very, very good. I'm very, very happy. I'm also just really happy that the bodywork came out really good too, so all the time and effort worked. Time for that second coat. Well, that is a wrap on the second coat. Didn't make any mistakes. Paint still looks really, really good. This is gonna shrink up even more and look even more glassy by tomorrow morning. So we got all the heaters in here now. I'm gonna go ahead and kick the lights off, shut that fan down, and just let this thing bake in here overnight. Finally, we got a good looking car body. If it doesn't look good now at SEMA, it's because of the vinyl wrap, not because of me. I feel like a lot of pressure is off my shoulder now. Feels good. And back over here, Oscar buttoned up the oil pan on the engine, got the auto tensioner back on, and all the other bracketry and the weird transmission pump and everything back on the car. So this engine is fully assembled once again. Now, the rod bearing job does have some risk involved with it too. It could spin a bearing when we start it up. So we're gonna have a real fingers crossed moment when we do try and start this engine back up, and we know it's a risk. It could blow up, but they had to be changed, so we did it, and we followed all the procedures, and everything looks good. So this is not the first engine that Oscar has changed the rod bearings on, so I got all the faith in the world in him, and if the engine blows up, well, it was gonna blow up anyways if we didn't change them, so we did our best. But I'm really happy about that. So that's ready, and the car's painted. Things are looking up. Well, today marked 9 days before SEMA, a little over a week before we have to leave. We're very far behind schedule, but not too far. Not too far that we can't make it up. So I'm really excited. Getting that paint job and nailing it. Not did it just feel good to nail a paint job, and I know a lot of you guys are saying, how hard is it to spray primer? Sometimes things are difficult in the B is for Build world around paint. I think we've learned that by now. Anywho, we're in good shape. I think we're in good shape. Now it's just hard work and determination. There's no more chemicals to have to worry about. There's a bird in the middle of the night out there. It's 1 a.m. Things freak me out in the dark. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate the hell out of all you guys. Check out B is for Build if you want some merch. If not, just hit that subscribe button. That helps us out plenty. Follow our Instagram, guys. I'm posting a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, up-to-date stuff on the Instagram, asking questions, responding, and preparing for SEMA. It's a good time. Instagram, B is for Build. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace!
Come on!